I want to ask you first, I want to ask you two things. One is, what are your thoughts on rates? Do you think we see a Fed pivot next year? What do you think that does for risk assets? And then two is, and more importantly, is how does this affect the crypto DickButt market? Because I know you're a man of math and culture. So we need to understand ultimately, because that's what this podcast is about, is what sends crypto DickButts to the moon.
All right, rates. I mean, 12 months is a lifetime in this day and age, especially in crypto. Obviously, you've seen inflation kind of start to taper off, not just in the US, but across the globe. I think that's a combination of obviously the hikes, but also the fact that we were in a late stage cycle of consumer demand. And again, everything we spoke about at the beginning, all the free money, obviously that's all, there's a chain effect there. So definitely we're going to see inflation come in. Pivot, I think it's hard to like put one meaning to it, right? Some people think pivot is just the Fed letting go of the accelerator when it comes to the hikes, which they did last week, right? So they hiked less than the previous hikes. Is that really a pivot? Is it them just pausing and not hiking for a few meetings? Is that the pivot, or is them cutting rates? I think they're gonna pause after a couple of more hikes. Maybe they do 50, 25, and then they pause. I don't think Powell can just start cutting immediately unless we really see the economy come off a cliff. Which, there's a possibility of that. I do think these things take time, as we've seen with inflation, right? It started hiking at the beginning of the year. We still saw inflation really shoot up as they were hiking. So there's not just an immediate transmission mechanism. I do expect them to at least pause for a while, reassess, and then depending on what happens with the numbers, they go meeting by meeting. We have a gigantic spending plan that's about to be voted on. If that sparks inflation again, obviously it's going to be hard for them to start cutting. So, I think I'm less cautious than I was at the beginning of the year, just because we've seen the majority of the move to the downside. And so I think that even if we do revisit the Ether lows, for example, which were like 800 from here, that's a 33% decline from today's prices versus at 800 coming from 4,800. And so a lot more optimistic about the year. I think I'm going to start to finally build back my Ether bag as we go through time. Now, what happens to the ultimate triple point asset, I think, is it's up only for DickButts. I think DickButts are really the best NFT you can own. I love my punks, but now they are a Yuga asset. And so there's some risk there that they just turn them into mutant punks or whatever, right? Whereas DickButts, they're just so pure, they're so perfect, they predate crypto, they are part of internet meme culture. The community is really strong. The art is just beautiful, the vibes are immaculate. The math is perfect, right? One dick equals one butt, and there's nothing anybody can ever do to change that. So rates go up, dicks don't care. Rates go down, dicks don't care. I think that as we go through time, this is the apex predator of NFTs. And you want to make sure you at least have one DickButt, because I'm here at my mom's house in Mexico, and my nieces are 3 and 1, and I have some DickButts for them, and I can't imagine when 30 years down the road, and I'm like, maybe not in my deathbed yet, but they'll be in like their mid-30s, and they'll be like, hey, uncle, padrino, why did you not get us a DickButt when they were under $1 million? And so I hope that nobody has to have that conversation with their their kids, their grandchildren, their nephews or nieces in the future. We're like, you were around when DickButts were like 2 Ether and you didn't buy at least one. So yeah, DickButts, I think they're the past, the present, and the future.